Yo guys, Boomer here, and welcome back to another Rocket League video. Today's video is going to deal with 2v2, and I am responding to this comment here from Vanny6886, which says, I feel like this would help a lot of people. How do we stay in the play, get our hand in the play, and have correct momentum and positioning in twos? So there are obviously a lot of things to unpack here, and I feel like the overall answer I would give to these is, in order to be relevant in every single play, stay in the play, get your hand in the play, there are three main important things. So one, you need to make sure you're not flipping out of the play too early. What I mean by that is, I want you guys to stay in the play until the interaction happens. So let's say your teammate is doing an air dribble or bringing the ball in their corner. Do not decide where to put your car until the interaction happens. You want to obviously be playing in a spot where you can cover multiple scenarios. So if you go back and replay it and you're not positioned for multiple scenarios, and so you can ask yourself, am I going to be there if my teammate wins the 50? Am I going to be there if my teammate loses the 50? Am I going to be there if my teammate gets demoed? Stuff like that. And that's usually how you can tell you're positioned correctly or not. If you feel like you're not relevant in every single play, it could be because of how you position. Maybe you're somebody who's too passive and you play behind your teammate, stuff like that. There was another comment asking about how to go about solo queuing, which I will make its own separate video of strategies of how to solo queue around somebody who's too passive, too aggressive, stuff like that. But I could not find examples. I wanted to do both of the questions in one video, but this one's just going to focus on the second comment. So correct momentum and positioning usually is what's required from the play. And that's something you just have to be put in that position multiple times to know. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into some of my 2v2 games recently and provide you guys some examples of how I keep my momentum up, how I'm making my decision, why I'm positioning where I'm at. And hopefully that helps you guys. But yeah, without further ado, let's get right into it. Hopefully this is not a 30-minute video. I know you guys don't want to watch 30-minute videos every single time, but it's been difficult for me to not overanalyze these videos. But yeah, I'm just trying to provide the best advice as possible from a higher level player's perspective. So hope you guys enjoy, and let's get into it. Okay, so I actually saved a replay from the other day. I was playing with my buddy Unky, who is also an SSL level player. So I specifically saved this replay for a video like this. So I would like to just show you guys the difference between SSL pace versus Grand Champ pace. So this is start of the season, obviously. So Unky and I are playing in a 1600 lobby. And both of us being myself a 1900 player in twos, and Unky has been 2K in threes before. We were both SSL level players, so I want you guys to see the difference between... I'm not sure about the other team. I do recognize Trouble 2U. I'm not sure if they've also been SSL before, but I don't recognize Mr. Handicap. So we'll take a look here at this twos game so you guys can keep an eye on how we maintain our momentum, where we position, and I'll break down some of these plays so you guys can see the decision making that I have. So the reason I actually saved this replay is because I think the difference in this game, obviously you guys saw it was 3-0 when I loaded the replay up, is the difference in pacing and how us SSLs take our opportunities versus the Grand Champs. So already we have the first goal, and this is a pretty sloppy defensive play, and it stems from my own mistake. So already right here, to answer the question of playing behind your teammate, this can also be a detriment because 2v2 is very much you want to follow your teammate up as much as possible, but you're also playing multiple scenarios. This is something that can help even in 3v3, right? So obviously I'm a little bit out of the play right now. I am not involved in the play, and Unky has sped the ball up pretty quickly, so I want to get into a position where I can react to any interaction, right? So I immediately shift over to the side of the field, right? And now when I see Unky doing this, he is not going for the ball. He is chasing the demo here, and he is forcing Trouble 2U to get a touch that he doesn't have control with. Right, so as soon as Unky has done something like that, I notice and I move in to try to pick up the possession. I was trying to squish the ball up the wall so I could follow it, but I ended up like pinching it very weird. And this is dangerous now because Unky is flipped. So my immediate first thought is I need to recover in case, you know, they get a counterattack going. Now, in terms of pacing, the reason I pre-jumped this is because normally I would expect somebody to play a beat here. Because it's just a logical decision to do right here. He has Unky on his trail, and if he wants to present me a problem as quick as possible and allow his teammate to get involved in the play, I would imagine he would play the beat. But I think he might have been a little bit afraid of Unky chasing him. I'm not so sure. Because it looks like he has full control here. He gets a very good 50, and then he just doesn't go for the mechanical play. I mean, he does end up doing what I want him to do, but he does it a second late, and then my pre-jump is... It's a troll challenge. That's all this is. This is a complete troll challenge, so ends up going over. Unky gets the save. Now I'm immediately keeping my pace up, right? I get my speed up, and I'm grabbing pennies right here. Just in case I can be ready for an interaction, I can dodge a bump. I don't want to make myself an easy target. See, now I'm prepared for this. I do give it away, and he does a good job of blocking it. This is almost never threatening for me in this scenario. This is... You could argue this is something that's egotistical of me, but just from where he's jumping, just his angle that he needs to get, the only shot that would actually go in is if he slots this top left. And his percentage of scoring that is very low, especially when Unky has his feet set. But you can see here, this is another issue from us, where we're setting slow momentum on the goal line, so our clear is not going to be very good. I think that is usually good in 2v2 is to play for your teammate's touch. So I should be actually slowing down and be ready for Unky's touch rather than doing circles in front of my net, because this definitely could have been a goal on my part. But I think I threw his shot off just enough to where he misses it. And this is just him not taking the time to line his shot up, because he doesn't have to blast this. He could definitely pick his spot and place it. Anywhere on the left side is fine too, because his teammate is threatening a bump on Unky. But he just ends up bumping Unky into shooting position, and they have overcommitted. So if you guys are wondering, like, in terms of 2v2, you have to understand that there are things such as all-in plays, and there are also things such as, like, you want to take turns trying to beat the other team. And this is something, again, that doesn't really have like a straight-up answer to. These are situations that you just have to be put in. So for those of you that don't grind the game, like if you're trying to, you know, reach SSL or you know, make big rank ups in the game, I would at least say you'd have to play 500 games to 1,000 games minimum in a season. Any time I've checked like high level player TRNs or something like that, most of the time they usually have that amount of games, and that is what allows them to be that much better, right? Because they've been put in these situations way more times than majority of players, so they know how to react. This is again sloppy for me, so you can see again I decide to leave the play, right? So what happens is because I am not there for Unky's play, and let's see what Unky did. Because Unky goes for a mech play, so most of the time, if Unky goes for something like this, I tend to space pretty far, because you can wait for the 50 in case, but we've kind of been in a slump recently, so most of the time I'm not having trust in this situation. But the issue with that is that it invites the 2v1, as you can see. I'm voluntarily putting myself in the 2v1. Unky does a good job of making him spill the touch. I was trying to get a touch over him and dodge the demo at the same time. And so you can see I flip cancel, so I can also be ready for this guy's touch, right? Because I'm still the last man here. Unky is still not recovered on my screen, right? He's grabbing mid boost, so I need to recognize the threat. And this is interesting by him, because if he had just kept his momentum and knows that handicap is going to force me, he could have easily just drove over this and shot it. But instead he just dinks it to me, and that allows me to get another touch on it. And again, he has another free shot, but he ends up, instead of taking his time, just blasting it into the crossbar. So, and then even right here, like, they have a complete wide open net, and instead of going for the finish when Unki is already backed onto the goal line and is forced to go for a squishy save while Trouble to You is threatening the bump, he goes for a reset double rather than just presenting the problem as quick as possible. So you can see, like, right here is a good spot, just because I spawned in, and Unki forces the touch away. So I can go follow up. Unfortunately, I just end up hitting it into him. Just bad awareness by me, and they miss another open net. And here we go into the counterattack. So in terms of momentum, right? Even after a mistake like this, my first thought is to play damage control, right? So instead of like just completely rotating out or whatever, I swap my momentum up and I'm flipping for the bounce. Okay, because if he does play it slow enough, I want to be here for that bounce. He does rip the shot as quick as possible, which is the correct thing to do in the situation. Unfortunately, he just misses it. And let's take a look at Unki's pace here, because Unki's in a perfect spot to play an extension pass. So in twos, this is very much like what I was talking about in the other videos. So once the ball is switched, okay, once the ball is like, coming this way, it then baits Trouble to You. So if you pay attention to his POV, right, this is like a natural subconscious thing that most Rocket League players will do. Once he sees this, he's shifting his weight to follow the play. Now, the only issue with this is because he doesn't turn back. He doesn't recognize Unki as a threat. When you are the last man right here and you have all the information on your screen that you need, right here, I can tell he's watching the ball only in this point in time, rather than paying attention to the other players, right? Because this is a very threatening position, and if you've played 3v3, you would know this, right? So if I was him, I'd be paying attention to the cut player mostly, right? Because you know where the ball's going. You know that there's a player over where the ball is going. So you then have to think of what type of situation can stem from this. So as soon as I am no longer cutting this ball, I'm not in a position to cut, he sees me turn out into an extension position, right? And then by the time he's already shifted his weight, he is only now turning back, and he's turning wide. So he's already successfully taken himself out from being able to chow this. Now the difference is if he were boosting and maintaining momentum, he can do this turn a lot quicker and turn straight back. And then he has the option of he can jump for my double, or he can even jump for this touch. But because he turned all the way to the side and he was driving to the side for so long, this counterattack breaks out, and you can see I've already jumped. By the time he gets onto the line and the angle, I've already jumped. And then he makes another mistake by flipping. There is absolutely no issue or no reason he should be flipping here. He just makes this save a lot harder for himself. Which again, that can go into the flip manipulation video. There are times where you should be flipping and times you should not be flipping around the field. But yeah, well played counterattack by us. And in my head, for this type of play, I saw him back there in the net, so I can assume if I don't speed up here, that I'm most likely going to get demoed, right? So if I'm not demoed by this point, and I had no boost, I was low boost, right? As soon as I see this, I am immediately going to play the switch, I'm playing the space, and I'm playing the punish. Just with this turn, right? So first of all, I am stealing the big boost, so that handicap is going to be the slowest to recover out of the play. I am turning into the space of where I think the pass is going to come, because that's just natural to play the ball into the open space, right? Even in the real sport, it's natural to do that. And I am up as quick as possible to give the problem as fast as possible, right? While he's on the back foot, while he doesn't have his feet set. These are the type of opportunities that you really should be scoring and punishing in 2v2. But you need to maintain momentum to do these. I see a lot of counterattacks like that fizzle out because someone is not playing it correctly. I feel like 2v2 is a game that can get very sloppy. And it's for one of two reasons. At least for me, when I solo queue, if you have a teammate who is playing very, very passive, right? There's two issues with playing passive. One, your teammate is most likely going to try to take the ball from you, or they're going to be confused on when, their turn to go for the ball is. I don't really like using that terminology because there's a misconception that there are turns for when you should go to the ball, and that's just not the case. It's really what the situation presents is who is more ideal to be going for that ball. And two, usually if you slow play a lot and you're very passive in twos, your teammate is not going to, especially if there's somebody who doesn't read, your card's body language, it's going to be a confusing game. And typically if you are the teammate who is not playing passive and your solo queue teammate is playing passive, you usually slow yourself down a lot more, and you're like most of the time waiting for your teammate to do something. So these are two issues of what I see. Now there are very situational ways you can play around that. I'll try to find an example. If I don't, I'm just gonna have to go try to solo queue a 2v2 game, and we'll see what our teammates are like. But the other issue I see is you have somebody who is over aggressive, right? They're nonstop ball chasing, nonstop just touching the ball with no purpose behind it, and they're spamming mechanics when they are not consistent at mechanics. These are the two biggest play styles that I see become a very big detriment in 2v2 because it confuses the flow. It confuses your teammate. It confuses everyone else. And if you get one player on the other team who knows how to punish you for that, it's going to be a very miserable game. So when you play 2v2, it is really what the situation calls for. And that is why I almost always play the exact same way when I play 2v2. What I mean by that is pacing-wise, situation-wise, whatever, because I've played the game for years, and I have experienced. I have some people come to stream and they're like, "Oh my god, you'll never believe my teammate that I will believe it because I've most likely dealt with the same exact type of teammate or worse, just because I've been playing the game for so long, and that's something that is invaluable experience because going through all those situations, I have learned how to play around all different types of teammates, and that makes me very, very easy to play around. And that's something that I like to pride myself on, especially in 2v2, because it's very rare that I get somebody who is such a detriment to me that I cannot play damage control for that player. And if you have to play damage control, then that's another thing that just takes lots and lots of time of being in that position. And what I mean by damage control is when there's a mistake or something like this, you need to learn how to mitigate the amount of damage the other team can do, right? So we have a poor challenge from Monkey here. Okay. The pinch, the 50 is not good. It pinches in their favor. So already I'm playing damage control. I immediately recognize he has to land. I don't know how much boost he has, but I'm not going to reward him with a big boost, right? Because that's going to give him more options. So I can assume now that he's probably looking for his option, right? So I can see handicap is pushing up a little bit. So essentially, because Trouble to You is slow playing this rather than giving me a problem, it's going to bait handicap in, right? And I can see neither of them are chasing for a demo. So this is my green light to go. And when I was talking about momentum, I keep my speed up here in case the demo threat comes through, right? In case there's an immediate shot, I go play the angle, right? So in case he does shoot this, in case he does pop it up for an air dribble bump, whatever, I am now in that spot. As soon as I see he's still slow playing, you can see I cut immediately. I am in the play immediately and I'm up. You can see how quick this happens. I do not give them the opportunity to decide because I've already made my decision in my head. And when I can tell that somebody is still deciding or still slow playing, I'm already in their face. So that's something that's damage control as quick as possible. So again, I've already flipped here. I flipped for the mid boost, and this is right after I made that save, right? So you would imagine, oh well, it might be Unky's turn to go for the ball. That's how most people think. right? But that's just not the case. You have to be prepared to play every situation. I have no information of where Unky's at. Me and him are not hard coming while we're playing this. So as soon as I see Unky's whiff right here, I'm like, okay, I'm the last guy. I already have to dodge a bump. So I'm just getting out of the way of the bump, and I'm using my flip manipulation to get in front of this guy. And I have no boost. Right? It's extremely annoying. I'm a difficult player to get the ball around. And then you can see I do all of this on 0 boost. We end up getting a cuxer pinch to the ceiling, and then it's a perfect goal for Unky. Like, and this is the funniest way to score on somebody because it's an effective counterattack. Right? This is the last thing they expect after backing me down to the goal line in a 2v1. And now the ball spills out. They're like, okay, surely, we have them in shambles. And then the ball's still not in the net. Trouble to use, like, I got it, full boost, and then boom. Like, they're scrambling all over the place. There's a lack of control and a lack of, like, decision-making. And this is the reason that they get scored on. And that's why I save this replay. It's not a difference of SSL pace versus GC pace, right? It's not that me and Unky are faster than them. In the long run, it's because of how we carry our momentum and how we make our decisions just a tiny bit faster, right? And that's truly what makes the difference in these games. So I'll try to find a better example. But yeah, I'll just cut to that.